What's up, comic book fans, and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got the first issue of a new DC miniseries called Suicide Squad Dream Team, where Amanda Waller's dream is the world's nightmare. And this series is a direct lead to DC's next big event, Absolute Power. And with this event will come the end of Dawn of DC. So this series is basically the beginning of the end for Dawn of DC. And now we know Amanda Waller wants to rid the world of metahumans. So if you guys are ready to see what she's willing to do on that quest for absolute power, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So this story starts off in international waters on the USS Collins, as the selected members of the Suicide Squad are all unconscious and strapped to their seats. Harley Quinn is the first one to awake and notices her predicament, and is like, what the hell is going on? Only to be greeted by Amanda Waller. And now Harley's like, son of a bitch. And as Amanda Waller goes on to introduce herself to the new members, she's interrupted by Harley, who wants to know why she's even there. She's only supposed to have community service this time. And Amanda ain't no community service. But Amanda, the HBIC, and if you need to know what that is, you could either look it up or hit me in the comments. But she tells Harley that the terms of her community service have changed. And now you answer to me. Unless you want a permanent sale. You all answer to me, she tells the entire group. Effective immediately, you are all officially members of Task Force X. And I will be your commanding officer, Amanda Waller. You will be serving as special operatives on behalf of the United States of America. Strictly off the books, and strictly need to know. Another member of the Suicide Squad is Waller's nephew, Archie Waller, aka Deadeye, a psychic mercenary and metahuman tracker. And he asks where are they now, but Amanda Waller tells him that that's need to know. Then she begins to show the team a slideshow of their mission. The island nation of Gamora has access to some of the most advanced weapons and defense systems in the world. And now those systems are believed to be under the control of a group of insurgents. They can assume these hostiles are looking to take advantage of Gamora's fragile political state, following the removal of their previous president, Henry Bendix. Bendix's presidency had devolved into a dictatorship that threatened the world with an army of mass-produced metahumans. So Gamora's resources absolutely cannot be co-opted by radicals. Whoever fills the void left by the former president needs to be an ally to the United States. The Suicide Squad's job will be to go into the country, take back control of the defense systems, and lower the shield dome that is preventing aid from reaching the shoreline. But the Clock King, another squad member, wants to know how will they fare any different getting in if aid is being blocked. And that's when Amanda lets them know that they'll be going in through the dream realm. They'll enter on this side of the dome and then emerge through the consciousness of a sleeping person within the Capitol. See, they have a new unorthodox method that, if successful, will completely change the way they conduct stealth operations, leading Amanda to introduce Nia Nall, aka Dreamer, who had approached Amanda Waller earlier at Belle Reve Federal Prison in Louisiana. She was pissed about what she'd just seen on a thumb drive. She had broken into a U.S. senator's home to retrieve it, and after seeing what was on this drive, she's ready to have this senator arrested. But arresting the senator is not a part of Waller's plan. There's still some good that can be done with him in office, she tells Nia. But Nia only sees him as a creep that belongs in jail. But if he goes to jail, then his seat will go right back to some other nut job, bringing his personal messiah complex, and we're back to square one, Amanda tells her. But Nia is pissed. She feels like Amanda is just being complicit in what the senator is doing. But Amanda ain't trying to hear that. She could spend all day throwing each person like the senator in a different hole and hardly make a dent. Or she could step back and think about how she could turn it into something that might actually help solve the problem. And that just makes Nia even more upset. That blackmail is Amanda's answer to everything. But Amanda just knows what it means to be the one to make the tough calls. She believes that she and Nia are more alike than Nia wants to think. But Nia rebuts that the only reason she's doing anything Amanda says is because she's threatening Nia's home. She's nothing like Amanda, she tells her. That's a shame, Amanda says. And when Amanda asks if Nia is ready for her next assignment, Nia storms off telling Amanda to get her own blackmail. Which brings us back to now. And as Amanda gives her briefing, Nia is realizing that she's expected to bring an entire team to the dream realm. But these are new powers, she tells Amanda. She barely understands dream travel as it is. She's not even sure if she can bring in this many people. But cold-blooded as always, Amanda is willing to take the risk. Then she tells Nia that communications will be off once they're inside the dome. But she'll be in contact with her via Deadeye's telepathy. And Nia protests because she's never agreed to this. But she's speechless when Amanda asks if she's refusing. And after a moment of unconsciousness later, we're taken to the dream realm. And as the squad walk through the dream realm, Nia gives them the rules of the game. Let the dream play out the way it's meant to. They're just passing through. The dream realm connects to every sleeping being in the universe. So all they need to do is to look for anything that screams, "Go this way." Then Bizarro, another squad member, is the first to notice this blue bird with a red patch over its eye and asks what it is. And he's answered by the Clock King, actually, who tells him that it is a Gamoran cuckoo dove, poached to extinction during the reign of Kaizen Gamora in 1965. Then Clock King and Dreamer pretty much both realize that they need to follow this bird. So that's what they do. They follow the bird right into somebody's dream. And now Clock King wonders if there'll be a portal in this dream that takes them into Gamora from here, but Dreamer tells them that they're already there in the city now. And now Deadeye telepathically notifies Amanda Waller of their arrival. But Harley Quinn notices a problem, that the person whose dream they hitched a ride in on is no longer breathing. Apparently 6 people is too many to hitch a ride through someone's dream. Go figure. And Deadeye once again notifies Amanda of what's happened, but she's not too concerned. It's regrettable, but at least now they know more about the Dreamer's limitations. This will help them plan more accordingly in the future, but these guys still have a job to do, she reminds them. But Dreamer is not okay with leaving this guy here. She really needs to help him, and she's freaking out for causing this. She doesn't want to see this guy as collateral damage like Waller does. But the last member of the squad, Black Alice, finally speaks up, and she lets in the Dreamer. The team doesn't have time for Dreamer's emotional trip, and she's not here to play hero, Black Alice reminds Dreamer. Then she tells her that they're a bunch of thieves and killers. You can't actually believe they're being sent in here to save people. We're here to be whatever Waller wants us to be. We are not the good guys. Heck, we're not even the real bad guys. We're just a bunch of disposable crooks for the real players to push around, she snaps. But Bizarro takes offense to that. Bizarro no am crook. Bizarro am hero, he tells Black Alice. But Black Alice checks Bizarro as well. No, you aren't. And that just sent Bizarro nuts. And he leads the team by flying straight through the roof, shouting, "Bizarro show you! Bizarro ruin day!" And Deadeye now was like, "Thanks a lot, Black Alice. You just sent an unstable Kryptonian on a warpath." But Harley notices that Dreamer is still having a hard time dealing with that body. And Dreamer lets her know that that's not her first one, that the first time she seen one was when she was 15, when she'd seen her mom. She had came around the corner and her mother was lying face up in the yard. And that was her fault too, she tells Harley. She was a coward, and the choices she made led to her mother's passing. So Dreamer swore to make her proud, to use her powers to protect people just like her mother did. But Harley reminds her that this ain't the place to be if you're trying to protect folks. Amanda's threatening my home, Nia tells Harley. It's a secret alien refuge, somewhere for people from all over the galaxy to live in peace, mostly. Amanda's gonna dox an entire town of refugees just to get what she wants. But then Nia realizes that Amanda's likely gonna do it regardless, to which Harley agrees. But I'm supposed to be able to see the bad stuff coming and stop it. I'm supposed to be a hero, Nia proclaims. And that's when Harley gives her an analogy that superheroing is a lot like bird watching. You can't always count on seeing a super rare pigeon or whatever. You just show up with your camera and be ready if one comes around. Heroing is the same way. You can't always save everybody. So instead, you just do your best. and save as many folks as you can. Just like bird watching. But Nia makes sure to let Harley know that that was a terrible analogy. And Harley continues going on trying to explain her analogy, but Dreamer has now become lost in her own thought. She begins to stare at a mirror, and earlier in the story, Nia had told Harley that mirrors usually mean there's something the dreamer is supposed to reflect on. So as Nia looks in this mirror, she thinks to herself that she's still getting used to her powers, to the dream realm bleeding into her conscious mind. She doesn't always understand how it works, and she can't always interpret her visions, but the dreams never fail, her mom used to say. Only the interpretation does. Still, she feels she should have seen this coming. As the mirror begins to reveal gunfighting, she continues to think, Amanda Waller is a liar. She doesn't care about protecting innocent people. She doesn't care who gets hurt. As Bizarro is then shown on the mirror completely destroying people, Waller just wants to win whatever game she's playing, Nia thinks. I see shades of what's about to happen. I see mayhem. I see pain. I don't know what it is yet, but I know how it ends. Death, she screams. The future. The death. It's all her. As the mirror shatters, and then Nia can see a devilish grin on the face of Amanda Waller. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the issue. What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more countdown to absolute power with issue 2 of Suicide Squad Dream Team. And like I mentioned in the first issue's video, this series takes us on the road to DC's next big event, Absolute Power, and the end of the Dawn of DC era. And if you didn't see that first video and you need to get caught up, then I'll place a card at the top of the screen for you so you don't get confused on where things are. And I'll place a link at the end of the video too. But this series will take us through Amanda Waller's quest to rid the world of its metahumans. And in the first mission that she sends her new Suicide Squad on, there was an unfortunately untimely demise of an innocent person. And Dreamer, the new catalyst that Amanda uses to get her squad in and out of missions, is also a hero and a precog that doesn't believe in Amanda's by any means necessary tactics. And Dreamer was hit hard by this passing and felt responsible for it. And by the end of the issue, she'd gotten a precognitive glimpse of some of the carnage Amanda would cause. And if you guys are ready to find out what else Amanda Waller has up her sleeve on this road to absolute power, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So the issue picks up with part of the visions that Dreamer saw in issue 1. And Bizarro is just ripping through these Gamoran insurgents. See? Just like me told you, Bizarro says to Black Alice. Bizarro am hero. They ruined. And Black Alice is like, you can say that again. But Deadeye quickly realizes that these aren't insurgents like Amanda told them. As he catches a shot to the shoulder, these are Gamoran military. This isn't the simple stealth mission that Amanda painted it out to be, he mentions. But Clark King knew that there was nothing simple about this mission. They were deployed under false pretenses, and Gamoran bloodshed was always part of the plan. He thought it was obvious, he tells Deadeye, but Deadeye didn't quite get that same initial feeling, and he wonders why Clark King neglected to fill in the rest of the team on that beforehand. It's because of the nanite explosive in my neck that persuaded me against it, Clark King tells him. If he'd forewarned the team, it would have jeopardized the mission, and consequently, his chances of survival due to that explosive. And despite Deadeye's belief that this is just as detrimental to their survival, Clark King believes everything is going just as he anticipated. The Bizarro clone's compulsion for destruction, coupled with his unshakable, if misaligned moral compass, spearheaded us directly to our mission objective, the control center for the impenetrable dome shield protecting the island. That is, of course, only after Black Alice goaded him into action through her inspired, if needlessly cruel, outburst of youth. And while the structural integrity of the door behind us won't hold for much longer ultimately, That is of little consequence. And why is that, Deadeye asks Clock King. And he responds, if Dreamer is at all worth her salt, the precognitive will have, by now, discovered our mission's true objective, to make way for Amanda Waller. And given she is both heroically inclined and youthfully exuberant, it is safe to assume that when she does arrive, she's not going to knock. And just as he says it, Dreamer alongside Harley Quinn come bursting through the door, blasting it right off the hinges, even knocking Bizarro back, and she screams for them to get away from the control panel. And Gamora and military come in along with her and Harley, and then a shootout ensues. What is wrong with you people? Dreamer screams. Can't you see what you're doing? As Bizarro now gets back up. Traitors, he shouts. Meanwhile, Clock King goes back over to the control panel so he can let the dome shield down. And Dreamer tries to stop him. You can't lower it. But her efforts are cut short when Bizarro flies in, grabbing Dreamer by the throat. Me am hero, he screams. Bizarro finally do bad job. And he slams Dreamer into a wall while still choking her. Dream Girl not going to stop me, Bizarro tells her. And Deadeye yells for Bizarro to stop. But then Dreamer loses consciousness and vanishes. Huh? Where go Dream Girl? A curious Bizarro asks. And now Deadeye asks him, what did you do? But now that the shield is down, the comms are back on, and Amanda Waller radios in to check on the status of her team. And Deadeye sarcastically lets her know that the mission was successful. But Amanda wants to know why then is she now only seeing 5 dots on her screen. Where's Dreamer, she asks. Deadeye tells her that Bizarro almost killed her, but she was able to get away. And now Amanda is disappointed that she's gone. Amanda had thought she'd put up more of a fight. But she tells Deadeye to secure the building. That HBIC is on her way there, y'all. Then Amanda makes another call. To who? We don't yet know. But she tells them that Dreamer's AWOL. Run it. Then later on, as Amanda touches down in Gamora, she lets her soldiers know that although they've now got the defense building, it covers 90% of Gamora's logistics. But they need airfield control. She doesn't want anyone in or out without her approval. Then Deadeye angrily storms up to his aunt. Amanda, he shouts. And the soldiers tell him to freeze and drop his weapon. But Amanda isn't worried about him and tells her soldiers they can rest at ease. Cause Deadeye ain't about to do anything. But Deadeye's like, you sure about that? After the way you set me up? His aunt has put him through all sorts of BS. But this one takes it, he tells her. Roping me into some hostile takeover? You're not family. But Amanda straight up smacks the taste out that boy's mouth. I'm not family, she says to him. That's rich coming from the nephew who was plotting to take me out. Oh, you think I didn't know about your little team you were throwing together? Which took place back in Beast World Waller Rising. There's nothing you do that I don't know about. Up until now, I've been lenient with you, Archie. But no more. I've tried over and over again to reason with you. But you are determined to make me the bad guy. The stakes are too high for me to have blinders up for you anymore. Consider your leash officially tightened. You'll wait for further instructions back on the ship, as more of her men then come in and put the Suicide Squad members to sleep, with the exception of Bizarro. She's got a special mission for today's big hero, she tells him. Bizarro am hero? Bizarro do special job. That's what I like to hear, Amanda tells him, as we then pick up in President Nakamura's office in the Gamoran Parliament. And she's on the phone trying to put out fires basically on one line and trying to get her kid to leave and get to safety on the other line. And while she's on the line with her kid, Bizarro bursts through her office door and she screams for him to get back as she's then pushed through the window of the building, screaming her son's name. Then later on, we go to Amanda Waller's quarters on the USS Collins, and she's passed out, sleeping at her desk, while an emergency press conference is playing on the news on the TV in the background. And the conference is to address the growing concern and outrage over the alleged secret alien colony known as Parthus, which pro-human organizations are calling a silent invasion. So Amanda went and gave up Dreamer's colony. That's what Parthus is, and must have been what she had told them to run when she was back on the phone with somebody about Dreamer's disappearance. As if y'all didn't already know, Amanda Waller is a cold chick, man. But while she sleeps, we're taken to a dream that she's having. And we know it's a dream because it features her husband, Joseph, who's deceased. Plus, she's got that thinner Viola Davis look versus that current heavier frame. But in the dream, Joseph begins to choke, just as he's arguing with Amanda. And then in the next instance, Dreamer appears in Amanda's dream. He's gone, Dreamer tells Waller. I spared you the rest of that dream. And now Amanda's like, you? Can I at least get some peace and quiet in my sleep? But Dreamer tells her that she wouldn't call that peace and quiet. More like textbook subconscious guilt. Was he your husband, Dreamer asks? And Amanda responds just like you'd expect her to, telling Dreamer that that's none of her business. Just get the hero speech over with and leave me be. But Dreamer lets her know that what she wants is to give Amanda one more chance to do the right thing here. Which we already know Amanda's not folding at all. So then Amanda flips things on Dreamer, calling her a hypocrite. How many people died today because you chose to sneak a bunch of criminals into Gomorrah rather than tell people the truth about that alien nest of yours? Face it, you valued those soldiers' lives just as little as I did. You weighed your options and you made the right choice. But Dreamer defends her actions. She was pushed into an impossible position and disputes Waller's claims about their similarities. None of that needed to happen, she tells Waller. Nothing has to happen. What are you so afraid of, she asks. And Waller shows her this, she tells Dreamer. This is one of several alternate Earths where Superman decided the world was his for the taking. This is what he did to the people that cheered for him, as Waller shows Dreamer this alternate Earth via her dream. So you're punishing every alien and metahuman because you're afraid of Superman, Dreamer asks? Oh, it's not just Superman. If exposing your little town made people realize anything, it's that there is always more going on behind the scenes than they already know about. People deserve security, consistency, safety. Then she tells Dreamer that you can force my entire strategy and cut me off at the knees. But still, you're trying to convince me to give it all up myself. Could it be your vision didn't give you the answers that you were looking for? Or better yet, you need me to abort because you saw me win, didn't you? And then now a visibly angry Dreamer goes to throw a punch at Waller, but she doesn't touch her, and Waller never even thought for a second that she would. And then Waller wakes up and contacts Deadeye and tells him that they're moving out as she reaches for her purse on the floor. But Deadeye tells her to forget about it. He's not interested in being her lapdog anymore. Then Amanda pulls out a bottle of Keep Awake from her bag and tells Deadeye that it appears he needs to learn the same lessons as Dreamer. As she then pops those Keep Awake pills, she finishes telling Deadeye that he's not in position where how you feel matters anymore. What comes next isn't about objective good or bad. The sooner you make your peace with that, the better. Now move your ass. I've got a world to save. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more countdown to absolute power with issue number 3 of Suicide Squad Dream Team. And if you've missed any part of the first 2 issues of this mini-series, then I'll put a card at the top of the screen for you, and a link at the end of the video as well. But when we left off with this series, Dreamer had broken free from the Suicide Squad, and in retaliation, Amanda Waller gave up her secret alien colony called the Parthas to the media and other government agencies, causing a huge uproar amongst the people, and Amanda's refusal to go to sleep again. So if you guys are ready to find out if Dreamer can stay on the run or if she ultimately gets caught by Amanda and her Suicide Squad on her road to absolute power, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So we kick this issue off with Clock King reading up on a dossier about Dreamer. It's got all her abilities and her family members listed, and everything else there is to know about her on there. Enough for Clock King to understand why Amanda Waller will want her back. and that she would be a considerable threat. And then we pick up with Amanda Waller inside of her new field command center in the presidential palace of the new Republic of Gamora. And she's been listening in on her team talk about Dreamer. Even Deadeye's mention of Amanda making them do her dirty work. But she's in the business of saving lives, she tells them, when she surprises the hell out of them since they didn't know that she was listening. Despite what they think, though, she just wants to protect the country and the planet from harm, same as she always has. No matter how they feel about her, she's hopeful that they can at least objectively see that she's the good guy here. But what Deadeye does know objectively is that she's a liar. So it's hard to see her good guy plight. But it doesn't really matter what he thinks, since she's the one in charge and she orders him to just make sure that they bring back Dreamer. Because unlike the rest of them, she's not expendable. And Amanda intends to make her come around one way or the other. Meanwhile, the Suicide Squad catch a blowout driving on a rainy road and end up crashing into another car and totally wrecking theirs, making them have to walk the rest of the way to the Parthas, Dreamer's secret colony. But when they get there, it appears that an attack had already happened, as protesters met some very heavy resistance. And now the Suicide Squad is right in the middle of ground zero. This is Dreamer and they know it. She's hopping through the dreams of all of the bodies around the squad and has the team surrounded. So they yell out to her that they need to bring her in. And unlike her, they're expendable. But Dreamer refuses. If she leaves, then the protesters will keep coming and burn her colony down. So these guys are at one hell of an impasse right now, and there's no choice but to fight. And Dreamer holds her own here, and she really handles the Suicide Squad. But what she doesn't realize, they tell her, is that Amanda Waller is still gonna win. She always does. And she's gonna get Dreamer back on her own terms. And the fact that Dreamer has this belief that the good guys always win is exactly why she's gonna lose. People like Waller don't get where they are because of fairness. They get there because there's nobody that can stop them. But then Dreamer asks about the time, because she realizes one of her visions is coming true. And in that moment, there's a lightning strike. And now the rest of the Suicide Squad don't really understand what's going on, but it's enough to spook Dreamer away, and she immediately vanishes from this fight to the dismay of the Suicide Squad. Then we see that she had ran off to stop some idiots from burning down an elementary school in her colony. And just as she gets ready to put these guys down, the Suicide Squad find her again. And now that they see what's happened to this school, Harley Quinn is stunned. But the rest of the team stick to their guns, that they've got to bring her back and no harm can come to these humans. But Dreamer tries to get them to see that this is all a part of Amanda's plan. To let lunatics like this get away with brazen attacks like this. This is her plan for absolute power. And every dream the Dreamer's had for months has pointed her in the direction of Amanda. She's been poisoning public opinion against metahumans, aliens, and heroes so her crusade will look justified. And then the Suicide Squad just handed her Gamora on a silver platter, and she could turn into a super prison for when she takes over the world. Deadeye agrees with her though, and everyone knows that he's got no love for his Aunt Amanda. But Dreamer's gonna have to find a smarter way to win this fight, he tells her. And if she's noticed, Amanda hasn't been getting any sleep lately since Dreamer's been AWOL. So if Dreamer really wants Amanda, then working with the Suicide Squad is her best bet to get to her. Plus, it keeps them from getting their heads blown off. So either they can take down Amanda together, or she can stay here and keep playing whack-a-mole. But that mention of whack-a-mole takes Dreamer back to something that Amanda had said to her when all of this had began. That her time as a hero wasn't best spent playing whack-a-mole. And although she knows that she can't just leave her home to burn like this, she also knows that Amanda is by far the biggest threat to the future. So she puts down the ass clown and gives herself up. And then Black Alice puts her down. And as they call this in to Amanda Waller that they've got Dreamer and they're heading back, we can see the school burning in the background and the Dreamer falling. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. What's up, comic book fans? and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more countdown to absolute power with Suicide Squad Dream Team issue number 4, the finale of this series, and the direct lead-in to DC's new event, Absolute Power. And if you guys missed any part of this series, then I put up a card at the top of the screen for you. And I put a link at the end of the video to the playlist. But one thing I wanted to make sure that I corrected. When I began this series, I mentioned that Absolute Power would bring the start of Absolute DC and the end of Dawn of DC. But apparently Absolute DC will be separate continuity, kind of like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. But when we had left off with this series, Amanda Waller had given up Dreamer's secret colony to the media and government officials, causing an outrage and rogue citizens to try and attack her alien colony. And in defending her home, Dreamer was then reapprehended by the Suicide Squad on the orders of Amanda Waller. But it was done so with the hopes that Dreamer could get close enough to Amanda Waller to take her out. So if you guys are ready to find out if Dreamer is able to complete the mission and save the day before Amanda's quest to rid the world of its superheroes is complete, and you guys know what time it is, let's get it. So the issue kicks off with Dreamer in chains being transported back to Gamora to Amanda Waller by the Suicide Squad. And initially, Dreamer is unconscious, but when she awakes, she thinks to herself that she wishes that she hadn't woke up yet. Because unfortunately, she overhears the squad saying that Amanda will win, and it'll be all Dreamer's fault. And after hearing it, she immediately breaks her chains on her legs and attempts to fight the Suicide Squad in an attempt to fully break free. But Harley Quinn is able to hold her off with a hammer shot to the ribs. But then the Dreamer pleads for them to let her go. She has to stop Amanda, and she understands that the team won't help her, but they could at least get out of her way, she tells them. But what she's not understanding is if they fail, that's their heads. Literally. So whether they want to free her or not, it doesn't matter. But what they don't know is when Dreamer hit Bizarro with her dream energy back in Parthas, that blast went through his head and it forced out his bomb. So he's no longer a hostage to Amanda Waller. He gets to decide now if he really wants to be a hero. And if he does, then Dreamer could really use his help. And then as Deadeye is just about to tell her to give it up, Bizarro does indeed free her. And the first thing Dreamer does is reabsorb her powers back from Black Alice, who has siphoned them off back in Parthas. But when she reabsorbs her powers, she's reminded of an Amanda Waller vision that immediately knocks her out for a bit. Meanwhile, as she's out and everyone is looking over her, Clock King decides to load his pistol with a kryptonite bullet, and he fires it at Bizarro for turning on them. But just as he fires it, Dreamer wakes up and stops the bullet before it can hit Bizarro, who definitely wasn't a fan of Clock King using kryptonite. But then as Dreamer once again tries to flee, Deadeye stops her with a fist. "We had a deal," he tells her. "You were supposed to let us bring you in, then you were gonna take your shot at her." But Dreamer reveals to him that she heard them talking when she was out, and they don't even think she can beat Amanda. But he replies to her that that's because she can't seem to make a plan and stick to it, instead of just putting them all at risk. But she then tells Deadeye that she understands why they can't help her. But they need to understand that Amanda no longer controls her, because her bomb already went off. And with that, she's referring to Amanda already giving up her secret colony. So she's got nothing left to fear from Amanda, at least so she thinks, because she's never had a physical bomb in her head. And then she tells Bizarro to catch everybody, just as she then uses her power to blow a hole right out of the back of the plane that they're on. And as the rest of the squad all get ripped out of the back of the plane, Dreamer tells them that she will stop Amanda, just before she pulls herself forward on the plane. And then we pick up with Amanda on the island nation of Gamora, and she's pissed that none of her squad is responding to her call. And just as she starts to think that it's time to make an example out of one of them at random, she spots her plane on fire about to crash. And then we pick back up with Dreamer as she's made her way to the cockpit and tries to land the plane and to save the pilot as she activates his seat ejection. And she thinks to herself that she's sometimes wrong about her dreams, but one thing she knows she's right about is that Amanda and her forces are about to cause untold pain and suffering. And it all starts with her prison that she's building. But it's empty now, and this is her only window to try and fly a plane right into the prison construction. It's my fault for letting her have Gamora, Dreamer thinks. So she has to stop her, even if it kills Dreamer in the process. And as the plane finally crashes, Dreamer manages to drop right out of the back of the plane and then fall from the sky, just as the plane made contact and exploded. And as she falls to her assured death, Bizarro flies in and saves her. "My hero," she tells Bizarro. And he responds, "Bizarro always ruined," but before he could finish that statement, a kryptonite bullet pierces straight through his head. And then they both hit the ground, and Bizarro is nothing more than a leaking head now. Sheesh. And now a pissed off Dreamer kicks in the door to Waller's office. It's time to settle this. But this hiccup is nothing to Amanda, who's on the phone telling somebody to just resume prison construction in the jungle instead. She's not interested in changing her timeline just because of a pissed off teenager. And then when she hangs up the phone and finally confronts Dreamer, she tells Dreamer that her little tantrum really hasn't done anything. But she is impressed by the body count that Dreamer racked up in Parthas. But that body count is nothing compared to Deadshot's, who Waller then introduces Dreamer to. Mr. Lawton is another one of my favorite assets, Amanda tells her, prompting Dreamer to respond that this is not making killing her less appealing. But right there, that's the lesson that Amanda has been trying to teach Dreamer, that you can't get anything playing Boy Scout. Sometimes good people have to let bad things happen. And sometimes we have to do bad things. This world wasn't meant for women like them to succeed. And Amanda's had to fight hard to get to where she is now. And for years she had to swallow her pride and stomach the truly heinous, because she knew what she was working towards. And now she's finally in a position to really change this world for the better. Being a hero is about more than just punching bad guys. It's doing whatever you have to do to save the future, even at the expense of your own self. "Do you understand?" she asks Dreamer, just as Deadshot hands her a file folder. But then Dreamer responds that she does understand. And then she fires her dream energy at Deadshot, dropping him. And then she hauls off and cracks Amanda right in the nose. And then Amanda pulls out her pistol on Dreamer, telling her to stand down. But Dreamer then fights Amanda for the gun, all while Amanda tries to give Dreamer a message about her family. But the mention of Dreamer's family makes her see red. And then she punches Amanda right out of the window. And as Amanda falls to her death, she screams back to Dreamer that she just killed them. Then Dreamer starts to hear beeping coming from Waller's computer, and initially she doesn't understand what's happening. But then she spots the papers on Amanda's desk and realizes what she's just done. Because on one of the pages it mentions that Dreamer's family was already apprehended after Dreamer was recaptured, and they had nanite explosives injected into their heads. But each explosive was linked to a heart monitor worn by Amanda, and if it stops, the explosives automatically detonate. And then we go back to when Amanda asks Dreamer if she understands. And this time Dreamer reluctantly tells her she does understand. As she opens her eyes and comes out of the dream, it's that overwhelming crush of defeat that hits her first. And the humiliating revelation that Amanda had already won before she'd even knocked on Dreamer's door. She never should have gotten mixed up with her, Dreamer thinks. And as Amanda Waller officially welcomes Dreamer to the Suicide Squad, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. How crazy was that, y'all? I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw Amanda get knocked out of the window, I was like, what in the hell? But then to see that it was a dream, that was pretty cool. And all in all, I think this was a pretty decent finale and setup to Absolute Power. Even despite them making Dreamer look like Superman, breaking chains and crashing airplanes. And she was like the almighty in this one. But Amanda Waller is a whole problem out here in these streets. But what did you guys think about the issue and the series? And are you guys looking forward to this Absolute Power event? I want to hear all you guys' thoughts and theories down in the comments. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you can do so by stopping by the Comics Icon store and picking you up some of this merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video, available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and it'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic book news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icon's merchandise from the Comics Icon store. And we've got tiers to the membership starting at just 99 cents. And I must say that is a way to really help out the channel. Or you guys can donate to the channel as well with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of these, then you can still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time.